Hello children, welcome to my class. I am Momita and today I will be explaining you the poem The Wind by Subramania Bharati. Now this poem was originally written in Tamil by Subramania Bharati and later it was translated by A.K. Ramanujan in English, right? Now the poem, the whole poem, the poem The Wind is a symbolism. Here wind represents the challenges and adversities in our life. The poet says that there would be challenges, there would be adversities in our life, but at the same time we have to be well prepared to fight against those adversities, or else we will succumb to those adversities and fall in life. Adversities will break us, will crush us, and will completely annihilate us if we are not prepared to fight against the adversities. This is the sum and substance of the poem, the poem Wind. Now we will go through we will try to understand the poem line by line, and after that I'll also explain you the rhyme scheme and the figure of speech used in this poem. Now let us understand the poem line by line. Wind. Wind, come softly. Softly means not very violently, slowly, without making any noise. So the poet requests the wind to come softly. Don't break the shutters of the window. Don't scatter the papers. Don't throw down the books on the shelf. There, look what you did. You threw them all down. You tore the pages of the book. You brought rain again. Now, in the very beginning, the poet makes a number of requests to the wind. He asks the wind not to break the shutters, not to scatter the papers, not to throw down the books from the shelf. Now these lines also tells us about the destructive power of the wind. So it means challenges and adversities in our life, they will destroy our life. They will not let our life be smooth. They will turn everything topsy-turvy. They will put everything out of order. So here in these lines, the poet tells us that when difficulties and challenges comes in our life is no longer remains smooth and disciplined. Everything is changed and everything is destroyed. Now in the next line, the poet becomes angry because the wind does not listen to the request made by the poet. Look what you did. Now this is what is being done by strong wind. It threw them all down. No matter how much requests we make to adversities, adversities will come in life and they will destroy our lives. There, look what you did. You threw them all down. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. Now, with the wind came the rain. Here we can say that adversities and difficulties does not come alone. It also brings with it other difficulties and problems. So the poet says that I asked you not to create any nuisance. I requested you not to destroy anything, spoil anything, but you did not listen to my request. On the contrary, you brought more adversities with you. You created more trouble than what was expected. So you brought rain again. Here rain means other adversities, other challenges. Okay, now you are very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Now look at this line. What does this mean? Poking fun at weaklings. Weaklings refer to weak people. and poking fun means making fun. So the poet says that you are so clever that you make fun of the weak people. Frail crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling hearts. Now the poet says that you make fun of the weak things, and what happens? Frail crumbling houses, frail crumbling doors. Crumbling means, the word crumbling here means falling, that is so weak that it can fall down at any time. Falling, or very weak constructions. Which may fall at any time. So the poet said that you are making fun of. Frail means delicate and weak. Frail, the word frail means delicate and weak. So the poet says that you make fun of frail and delicate houses, delicate doors, delicate rafters, delicate woods, and delicate bodies and delicate lives. These words, crumbling houses and crumbling lives, refer to weak bodies and weak lives. Weak physically, a person, the people who are physically and mentally weak. Crumbling hearts. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. The poet says that the wind god is very clever. He does not do anything to strong people, but the wind god, what does he do? He winnows. The word winnow refers to separation of grains from husk. Here it means throwing and crushing the weaker ones. If you look at the other page, the next page, you will see the women winnowing. In winnowing, when in the process of winnowing, what happens? The seeds, the main seeds, they fall on the ground. They are separated from the weaker one, the husk, which are blown away to a farther distance. So the poet says that the wind god winnows the weaker ones from the sifts the weaker one from the strong one, and then crushes them completely. So the wind god winnows and crushes them all. He won't do what you tell him. Now, no matter how much request we do to adversities, the adversities are never going to listen to us. The adversities will continue to create troubles in our life. They will create obstacles in our life. So it is we who have to be well prepared to fight against the adversities. He won't do what you tell him. So what should we do? So come, let's build strong homes. So the first requirement is to build strong homes. Let's join the door firmly. Practice to form the body. Make the heart steadfast. These all things refer to making ourselves strong, so that the wind cannot harm us. Obstacle cannot do anything to us. Preparing ourselves physically and mentally. So if we have strong homes, if we bolt the doors and windows properly, if we have a strong mind and a strong heart, then we can fight any obstacle and any adversities of life without any trouble. Do this and the wind will be friend with us. Now what does this word this refer to? This referred to making ourselves strong by building strong homes, joining the doors and windows properly, and having a strong mind and a strong heart. So if we do this, then the wind will no longer be our enemy. They would be our friend, because strong people wants to make friendship with strong people only. They would not like the friendship of weak people. So if you are weak, you would be crushed. In order to befriend the challenges of life, you have to be strong as well. And why are the challenges? Why do you think challenges and adversities are our friend? Because challenges and adversities make us more mature, make us gain experience, make us stronger. So if we are strong and fight against the challenges, we would become more strong, we would become more mature. But if we are weak, we won't be able to fight against the challenges, and we would be completely crushed by situation and by obstacles in our life. Do this and the wind will be our friend. The wind blows out weak fire. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. Flourish means to spread. The word flourish means to spread or to grow. So the poet says, if the flame is small, then the wind will extinguish it. Now if you light a oil lamp outside during storm, or if you hold a candle, what will happen? It will immediately be extinguished. Now if there is a forest fire is quite strong, what will happen? If there is a strong wind, the forest fire will spread far and wide. So through this example, what does the poet want to mean? The poet means that if you are strong, then situation, obstacle and adversities will make you more mature, will make you stronger. You will flourish, you will gain more prominence. But if you are weak, the wind god is going to extinguish you. That is, the difficulties will crush you completely, will end you completely. You won't be able to lift up your head and fight against it. So in order to befriend obstacles, you have to be equally strong. His friendship is good. We praise him every day. He is referred to the challenges. So challenges and obstacles are good in life, and we should praise him every day. Why? Because it is the wind, it is the challenges of our lives that makes us stronger, that makes us more mature, that helps us to gain prominence in life. Thus, this is the explanation of the poem. Now we would try looking at the rhyme scheme and the use of figure of speech. Now see, in the poem there is no rhyme scheme. That is, you see, softly, windows, papers, shelf, down, books, again. So the words do not match with each other. So when the words do not match, there is no rhyming scheme, and it is called free verse. So the poem is written in free verse, that is, there is no rhyme scheme in the poem. Now we would look at the figure of speech, or the literary devices which are used in the poem. First of all, we see a very strong use of anaphora. What is anaphora? Anaphora is a figure of speech in which the same word is used again and again at the beginning of two or more consecutive lines. Like we see anaphora in line number 2, 3 and 4 in the usage of don't break, don't scatter, don't throw. So this is an anaphora here, and again we have an anaphora in line number 6, 7 and 8. You and you. Here also we have anaphora. It's spelled as ANAPHORA. Now again we also see the whole poem is actually a personification, where the wind has been personified as a person. By addressing the wind as you, he, we are treating wind as a person. So in this case we can say the the whole poem is actually a personification. It's personification. I repeat, it's personification, personification. Now the third figure of speech used here is repetition in line number 9 and 10 in the usage of crumbling. See, so many times the word excuse me, has been used. Crumbling body, crumbling lives, crumbling rafter, crumbling wood, crumbling hearts. The word rafter means sloping beams or sloping beams on which the roof is supported. In the use of the word crumbling, we see repetition. Now another figure of speech used here is alliteration. Now alliteration, as you know, it is the same sound, use of same sound in close connection, and we find alliteration in line number 12 and 13 in the usage of wind God winnows, WW, war and war. War sound is repeated. So here we have alliteration spelled as ALLITERATION. And again we have another alliteration in the usage of the W sound, won't, what, war. Again we have alliteration here. Now finally we also have another figure of speech which is symbolism. Again the whole poem is symbolism. We don't find symbolism in any particular word or any particular line here. Spelled as SYMBOLISM. I repeat, it's SYMBOLISM, because the wind has been used here to symbolize the adversities of life. Thus the whole poem here is a symbolism. Now before I end the session, have a very quick look at the literary devices which are used in this poem. First of all, we see anaphora in line number 2, 3 and 4 in the repeated use of don't in line number 2, 3 and 4. Again we find the same thing in the usage of you in line number 6, 7 and 8. What is anaphora? Use of same word at the beginning of 2 or more consecutive lines. Okay, now we also find personification here. What is personification? When a non-living or a non-human thing is compared to a living, is used or projected as a living thing, then it is personification. So in this poem, wind has been personified as a human being. So thus we find personification throughout the poem, especially when the words you and he has been used. We find personification there. Now again we find repetition in the usage of the word crumbling in line number 9 and 10. And after that we find alliteration, which means use of the same sound in close connection. And alliteration is found in line number 12 and 13 in the use of the word wind, winnows, and line number 13 won't and what. Finally we also see symbolism here. The whole poem actually is a symbolism. Why? Because the wind has been symbolized, adversities of life has been described, has been projected by the word wind. So wind symbolizes adversities or challenges of life. Hope the video has been helpful to you. In this video I have described you line by line the meaning of the poem line by line, and I have also given you the central idea of the poem. Along with that, the literary devices have also been explained. Thank you.